Hey, welcome to the stables. Have a new horse coming in, and whenever I get these horses that are kind of challenging, I always say, gee, I wish I'd had a video when they first came in. So this time I thought to get the camera out, and my camera girl's helping me, and we're gonna video him coming off the trailer. He's a 5-year-old stallion, Arabian stallion. Lots of irony here. For one thing, I haven't trained in Arabian since I lived in Saudi Arabia, which was about 8 or 9 years ago, and I did do some stallions over there. The irony is, I did this video a week or two ago talking about training 2-year-olds and talking about how gentle my 2-year-old is. Well, this one's going to be probably the opposite. So those of you who've been watching my series with Duke thinking, oh, gee, that's too easy. Well, this guy ought to be the other end of the spectrum. And the other irony is that I mentioned on that video that I think that the one of the worst things you can do to a horse is put him in a stall and leave him there. And we're pretty sure that's what has happened to this horse. He's a 5-year-old stallion. As far as we can tell, he spent most of his life inside a barn, in a stall, and occasionally turned out in an indoor arena. He doesn't know hardly anything. We had to load him like a cow today, you know, get behind him and scare him into the trailer, and he ran into a fence in the process and cut a little bit on his chest. So he's pretty wild. You can't lead him. He does have a halter and lead rope on. And the folks who asked me to train him, they're friends of mine, I've known them for many years, they just got him about 2 or 3 days ago. And he's a particular bloodline, Arabian horse bloodline, that they really want to preserve that bloodline and use him as a breeding stallion and possibly even a show horse. You'll see he's a seriously good looking boy, very well bred. And of course, I've got 1, 2, 3 mares standing right here to greet him, but we'll get him into the round pen here. And he's ready to come off. So hopefully he'll just come on out. He may not. I might have to help him. Okay. There he comes, and he trotted right on in. Very nice. Okay. Hey, welcome into the round pen. First training session with this Stallion Aequitas. A couple things. First of all, this is not an ideal situation. I have a muddy round pen here. This is not where I'd like to be, but maybe I should call this real life horsemanship rather than, you know, perfect situation kind of horsemanship. And because, okay, all right, so, I figured this was going to be difficult, and I may change tactics here in a minute if I can't get him moving. Good, got him moving out. Because of this horse's background, and I mentioned it to you a little bit on the first video, the fact that we think he's been in a stall most of his life, he's really not afraid of people. And you just saw that when he just tried to run over me. He's tried to do that quite a few times. Not in a mean way, in the sense of he's not tried to strike me. He has nipped at me. But he's just not afraid of people. He is trying to climb over this fence. So my first goal here today is to just let him figure out that I can move his feet. That's pretty important for me to establish some leadership and start getting him to start thinking perhaps somebody could be number 1 and he can be number 2, because I seriously doubt if that's ever happened to him, especially if he was born in a stall and hasn't been you know, taught herd dynamics. He has the instinct, but he hasn't been taught that. So you can see he's fine with running right over top of me. Okay, so I may have to deal with that in some other way. I'm going to try my best not to get run over. Wasn't on my to-do list for today. So I'm just going to let him run around here for a little bit and try to keep him moving. I'd like to establish that I can move his feet. Okay. So for those of you if you're not familiar with the Arabian horse breed, they're the oldest breed in the world. King Solomon had Arabian horses 3,000 years ago. And the breed's probably even older than that. I'm not exactly sure, but And they were bred as war horses, desert horses. They were bred to be extremely alert, so that they would alert you if there's an enemy 5 miles away. They wanted their horse to tell them that they were coming. So they bred them to be very sensitive, very alert. They're hot bloods, and they are highly intelligent. They're extremely quick. I mean, at the end of the day, they have 4 legs and a tail like every other horse, but they have their own kind of peculiarities. Okay, let me see if I can get him to pay attention to me here. I expect he's going to run right by me. He did. Let me just see what happens if I just stand here like this. You know, and the fact that he's a 5-year-old stallion with little or no training means that he's going to take a little longer, and his owner thankfully understands that. She's a very experienced horse person, and so she knows this is not a 5-day turnaround deal. We'll just see. Okay, shook his head there. He's really not paying a whole lot of attention to me, which is what I'm looking for here. And again, I'm not surprised given his background. He's kind of learned, number one, to ignore people, and also to kind of see them as servants. You know, people bring him food, give him whatever he thinks he needs. Okay. And I made him keep moving there because I want him to pay attention to me. And that's fine. It's a nice warm day. I can stand here a long time. I promise you I can outlast him. Okay. So notice, I'm not telling him to move. I'm completely relaxed, my head's down, my stick's down. So he's not moving because I'm telling him to, which I don't really like. We'll work on that. Let me see what happens if I come over here. That's what I thought. See? He just ignored me and running right by me. So, not too many horses will do that way. And that should speak volumes to you. I'm only 2 or 3 feet away from here. He's running right by me like I'm not even here. Okay, now I put my hand out that time he changed directions, but he'll probably still run right by me. Okay. He did acknowledge me. He kind of looked at me that time. Okay. All right. Now, since that seems to work, what I'm going to do here is just change directions on him a few times. Now that didn't work, did it? See, he's not afraid of things like sticks and flags and things like that. He'll run right through them, which makes this more difficult, believe it or not. If he were a scared flighty Mustang, in some ways it'd be easier because I could control him with movement. But see, this horse, you can see I can't control him with movement. So we'll have to do some other things here in a little bit. So probably I'm going to look for a stopping place here. I'm going to ask my camera guy, how many minutes have we been doing this? Can you read the 17 minutes? So about a little over 15 minutes he's been running around here. What I want is some kind of an acknowledgement that I'm here. Okay? See, he's just trying to ignore me. I want him to acknowledge my presence in some form or another here. Look at me. He's shaking his head a little bit. That's, again, I got all day. I can wait him out. Now let's just try something here. I'm going to try to own this space right here. Okay. Nice little cutting horse stop. I'm going to see if I can just stand right here. All right. Good. So he's at least acknowledging that I'm here. And the reason he's staying right there by you is because my saddle horse runner is right there on that side of the pen. Okay. So let's try this. I'll come over and stand by runner and own this part of the pen. He just run right over me, didn't he? I told you when I brought this horse in, he could potentially be pretty dangerous. See, the fact, that right there is serious dangerous, folks. He's not the slightest bit afraid of me. He's completely ignoring me. He'll run right over me. This is a deal. All right, so I'm going to start letting him know that I don't like this. I don't like him ignoring me. Okay. Okay. All right, good. So I'm getting something here. All right. All right, back in here with Aequitas. I was able to get a rope halter on him and start putting some pressure. He's actually doing better than I thought he would. He's giving that pressure a little bit. Good boy. Good boy. I'm going to try to doctor him. It's been 2 or 3 hours since the session you saw, the round pen session. That's actually better than I expected. And folks, you really cannot do this with that flat web halter. I'm trying to reward him when it comes to that pressure. This is stuff you should teach your baby foal when he's a week old. You should. Or at least a weanling. Oh, that's not bad, buddy. That's not bad at all. Okay. Let me see if I can get on his right side.